Hi everybody. I'm still in the office. I've just finished up with a late client, so I didn't have time to rush home. So Gizmo won't be joining us today. Apologies for that. And the lighting in my office is actually quite dull, so excuse the bags under the eyes as well. They're not only there, it's just, terrible lighting in here to help with the office. Anyway, hi, welcome, Wednesday, 8 o'clock. I'm excited to see you guys. How are you? Make sure if you're jumping on today, you say g'day. Hey, Julie. Yeah, happy to see you. So, today's topic is one that people always say to me, why do I have to do that? I've never done that before, and I get this all the time. I've bought and sold properties for the last 10 years. I've never had to do this before. Why do I have to do it now? That's what we're going to talk about. So what is it? Verification of identity, or what we like to call in the industry a VOI. And because it is quite a new thing that has to be complied with now, some of our older generation are struggling a little bit with what has to be done. Hi, Missy. So let's have a little chat about what it is, how you can easily make sure that you can satisfy it, and why it was brought in. All right, so excuse me, a little bit of hay fever. So VOI is simply, there's new legislation in place which says that you have to prove who you are. Simple as that. So it's across the nation. If you are buying or selling or doing anything with property, transferring, you have to do a face-to-face identity check. That's it. Okay, there's no ifs and buts about it. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, 100 points. It's not. It has its own legislation, and it's actually a lot stricter than 100 points. All right. So why do we now have to go to all of these lengths to do these face-to-face identity checks? So for many, many years, conveyancers and solicitors, we had a lot of discretion about identifying our clients. But the problem with that is that's where we had all the fraud. We would have people turning up with titles to property, and they could be able to bludge through enough identification to be able to sell that property. It wasn't theirs. So the legislation was brought in to really strengthen the security and the integrity of our land title system. And some people get really quite, they don't like giving out their personal information, and we understand that. But the reason that this has come in, it also protects you. It shows that you have obtained property not through fraud, or you are the rightful owner of the property, and it allows that process to run smoothly and with integrity. So the main thing is, if you've got a passport and a driver's license in identical names, and every single name on there is exactly the same, then that's enough. Yeah. So if your name is Mr. John Brown Smith, and that is on your passport, that's on your driver's license, then you're completely fine. If, however, there's any change at all, that's when we've got to go around and change it, and we've got to look at what other identity documents you can bring in. And if you don't have a passport, that's when it starts to get quite a little bit more technical. Now, hi Marita, hi Beck, thanks for joining in. Thanks Julie, hi Megan. We're talking about verification of identity. It sounds like it's boring, but everyone always asks me. And I still probably have, 50% of people turn up to do their identity check at my office. We've given them the information, but they still don't get it. They still think that they're just doing 100 points checks, which is much more than that. Okay, so if you've got passport and driver's license in your names, you're fine. Bring the originals in, or there's other ways you can do it, but you've got to have that face-to-face check. Now, if you don't have a passport, you can have birth certificate, driver's license, Medicare card, but absolutely the same name on every single one. So if you're married, you've also got to have your marriage certificate, and your marriage certificate can't be the ceremonial one anymore. It has to be one from births, deaths, and marriages. So there's a little trap too. So these are things, if you're thinking about selling your property or you're thinking about buying, go ahead, make sure you've got all your ID documents contact your conveyancer or solicitor. They can shoot you a fact sheet with exactly what you need to have ready so that there's no delays. So to give you an idea, if you can't satisfy one of these checks, your solicitor or conveyancer isn't actually allowed to settle your matter. I had a matter about 8 months ago that was delayed by 3 months because the purchaser couldn't prove who he was. And I know that sounds really silly, like how could that happen? But it happens. And one of the reoccurring things I see also is that quite a lot of people have Christian names that aren't actually legal names. Say they might have been baptized and they were giving a second middle name when they were baptized. If that middle name, and then what's happened over the years is it's snuck onto their driver's license. But if you have an extra name on a driver's license and it's not the same on your birth certificate or your passport, then all of those documents don't line up and we can't use them. And you can't prove who you are and your matter can't go through. So there's a little bit there to think about, yeah? And you know, other examples are an initial missing from your Medicare card. That happens all the time as well, especially because 10, 20 years ago, it wasn't as the security around getting a driver's license or a Medicare card, it wasn't very tight at all. They didn't really check it. So it's you then that can get caught out. So take some time to just make sure you've got your ID documents in place. It'll make it so much smoother for you. And to give you an idea, when you buy a house, as long as you didn't buy the property through fraud, it's yours. So let me put that in perspective. If you buy a car and someone stole that car a few sales ago, and then it gets found out that you've got it, even though you didn't steal it, you did it all right, that car has to be returned. Legally, that person 3 transactions ago who had the car stolen from them, they can claim title to that car. But this doesn't happen in property. We've got laws and protection in place that says if you own the property, as long as you didn't obtain it through fraud, it's yours. So what that means is someone from 20 years ago can't say that property was stolen from me, I want it back. That can't happen. So this is why the security is so tight. It's to protect you as well. So don't panic, don't freak out. Sometimes people find it really confronting that they have to prove who they are and they have to go through these identity checks. But see it as a really good thing. It's about our government recognizing that there was too much fraud happening. It gives us a chance to really prove who you are. And you know, it's going to get to a stage where you need to have such high security documents before you can almost do anything like opening a bank account and things like that. It's just going to take a little while for the other industries to catch up. So that's me today, gang. VOI, verification of identity. It's legal, it's legislation, it has to be done. Everyone in Australia has to do a face-to-face identity check. Now, if you're not in my local area, that's totally fine. There's heaps of other ways it can be organised at an Australia Post, through a third party. There's things in place to make it easy for you. But your job is thinking about buying or selling, make sure you got them in place. Don't turn up to the appointment with the birth certificate that you roll out and it's ripped into tiny little pieces and it's got sticky tape around it. That's not going to work. Gang, Wednesdays, it's been a blast. My confession tonight is, it's actually probably no surprise. I just finished with my client a couple of minutes ago, so my confession is the heels are off and the slippers are on. I'm like a newsreader. What you can't see from down here on Confessions of a Conveyancer is off the screen. All right, gang. Thanks for jumping in. I'm about to leave the office now because I've got a little boy at home called Gizmo that I'm sure is got huge puppy dog eyes wondering where I'm up to. It was great to check in with you. Now, I've got some easy fact sheets about verification of identity that I always have available for my clients. But hey, if you want it, drop in the comments, your email address, we'll shoot you a link. I've also got blogs about this as well on my website. Put it all there. It's easy. It just gives you an idea. And a couple of you real estate agents that I can see that you guys are watching, this is not bad information to start giving to your clients who are selling before they've even engaged someone. So if you're going around and doing an appraisal, it wouldn't hurt for you to say, hey, you know, why don't you go ahead and think about getting those verification of identity documents ready? That then could speed up the process of you getting a contract for you to be able to market the property. Yes, it's not your responsibility, but is it in the client's best interest? Yep. Does it mean that you'll get a sale a little bit quicker? Yep. Something to think about there. So I can see there's 4 or 5 agents watching at the moment. Email me. You want to have this fact sheet? Happy to give it to you. You can pass it on to your clients. You can use it. Make the job smoother for everybody. Thank you. It was lovely to see you all. I've got some really exciting things happening this weekend. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. I've got a super exciting day happening tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you too much, but there's some exciting things happening. So be watching my Instagram story. It's all going to start about 8:30 in the morning. We've got a film crew flying down from Sydney. What is it all about? See you on Instagram stories tomorrow.